Welcome to Talking with Greenhills on Waycross Community Media. We're going to keep you connected to the things that are happening in the village of Greenhills. So today in the studio, we have with us Chief of Police, Chief Howarth. Thank you so much for being in here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the levy, because Greenhills has a levy on the May 6th ballot this spring. So let's get the details about that.
Yeah, that's correct. We do have the police levy on the ballot, May 6th. We have not had a police levy since 2017 was our last police levy that we had. This police levy will it'll generate about $364,000. It costs a homeowner of a $100,000 house valuation $137 a year. So it's about 37 cents a day for a $100,000 home. $200,000 home, you're looking about 75 cents a day. What we came about is looking at is retention in hiring. Hiring right now is very difficult. A lot of jurisdictions looking at the same individuals. So we looked at other similar agencies to our department as far as size, about 10 sworn officers, and we looked at pay rates for those. Basically, we're looking at Woodlawn, Village of Fairfax, Gulf Manor, those type of agencies. Very similar to ours, and our pay comparison is a lot lower than the average of those agencies. So we're about $5 less in starting pay than the average of those 5 agencies, and we're about $5 less of the top out pay. So it's not only recruiting people, but it's retaining people. It's very costly actually when we bring somebody. There's actually only 4 officers left still in the department that were here in 2017 when we ran our last levy. Okay. So that's a lot of turnover, and you can't fault the officers. A lot of time they're looking at another jurisdiction for a higher pay, so you can't fault them for that. We know we're not going to be able to compete with bigger departments as far as pay goes, but we'd like to at least be not only 1, competitive to attract people, but 2, retain the officers that we actually have. So our operating budget 2025 this year, 89% goes towards employee costs. So we're talking about salaries, pension, health insurance, those types of things that really we don't have the control over. And only 11% of the budget is operating cost. So it's not just all about salaries, but it's about proper equipment, good equipment to put people out there to get their job done safely and return home.
And 11% operating costs versus the people costs. The one component of a really good police force are the people.
Exactly.
And the thing about getting the people is they're looking, like you said, they're looking at doing the right things for their families. They need to be able to financially provide for them. Right. They're growing in a new career. But also you invest time and resources in training every time you get a new employee.
Yeah, we do. When we bring in, I looked at the cost, when we bring in a new employee, we have about a 12-week FTO program that they're actually with another officer. And uniforms. Naturally, we have to outfit the officer if we don't have prior equipment fit in the same size and stuff, which we try to repurpose like that. But if we can't, it's costly to outfit an officer. So it's about $16,000, a little more than $16,000 when we bring somebody on. So we bring them on, they train for 12 weeks. If they decide in a year, which 11 have decided to do since 2017, that's an investment that we're not really getting the full benefit from later on down the road. So, and we got a great department. We've got great men and women. Love to keep them all together. Hate to see any of them go, and I think they like it there, like it here too in Greenhills.
And the training we mentioned, Greenhills training, you've had other departments come and observe the kind of training that you do in various different kinds of scenarios, and you partner with other departments.
Absolutely.
Sometimes folks hear, it's a village, and that does not mean you're training new officers at the very latest level of required training that
exactly.
They can have.
And I think it speaks volumes that we're nationally certified through CLIA. Not many small agencies, even the ones we compare as far as salary, they're not CLIA certified. So a lot of that comes with special training to make sure we're staying up to date on all the training policies and so forth. So,
and you have done some creative things to stretch, I know, the budget that you have at this point to be able to bring things your department needs in without having to tap that out of the existing budget? What are some of the other things that
Yeah.
we can let folks know about?
Yeah, I applied back to the fourth quarter of last year, 2024, for body worn cameras grant. We don't have body worn cameras. I think they're an excellent tool in the police field. They're not the end all be all. You know, the way I kind of equate it to is you have an NFL football game, you got 7 cameras, you know, videotaping, and they go to instant replay, and sometimes they still can't determine with that. So they're not the end all be all, but just to have that, to be able to show the interaction. You know, a lot of times if somebody calls and complains on an officer, you can actually watch the video of it from the officer's point of view. Another thing is, just because the camera is actually seeing it doesn't mean the officer's looking at it. So that's another thing that, you know, it's not the end all be all, but things you have to think about. But, you know, I started a body worn camera program with my prior employer, and had nothing but great benefits. So I applied for the grant, just was notified early this month, actually late March, that we received the grant. So we'll fully fund the cost of the body cams, implementing them, getting them in, training, and it's $27,354 or somewhere in there, $27,300 as far as the cost that we will be getting for the 2 2 years body worn cameras.
That's a really great resource.
Absolutely.
And we talked about training and being able to see what they were looking at, even just to review it later and say,
I mean,
here's what we did in this scenario. What else do you see now?
Right. Policy will dictate that we take random videos that come up randomly that we view, that weren't even brought to our attention, anything, just to make sure the officer's acting appropriate and so forth. And then if an incident is brought to our attention, we can look at that. But yeah, I mean, if we review that randomly and we see an officer, you know, is turning their back on searching a vehicle or something like that, that could be a danger, something hidden like that. It's safety for the officer, it's safety for the community. So we're looking forward to it. I know the officers have embraced it. You know, they're looking forward to getting them on. So hopefully we'll see those here forthcoming real soon.
Well, is there anything else about the levy that we want to make sure residents know?
You know, if they want to check, I know they can go to the county auditor's webpage, and they can actually see what the cost of the levy would be to them. So that's something I kind of refer people to. But what I would like to say is, I'm hosting on the 28th, a week from Monday, on the 28th of April, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. up in the council chambers, up in the municipal building. I will be available to answer any questions anybody might have, provide, you know, spreadsheets and facts on different things. So I encourage people to come to that if they have questions. Be glad to answer them. And I encourage anybody anytime to call me on the phone if they can't make that meeting and answer questions. There'll be another Manager's Park talk on May 1st that will be out. You can see that on the website, on the calendar. I'll be there for that, answer any questions anybody might have there if they can't make the 28th. So I just want people to be informed so they can make the decision that they want to make.
Well, I want to talk about some other things, and I know one of the things that your department has been partnered on is a project called Building Bridges. But what is Building Bridges about?
Building Bridges, Antonio Spicer, who is a barber down at T. Smalls in the plaza, came to me probably November of last year, and he said, "Chief, I'm just getting tired of cutting teens' hair and listening to them in the chair talk about how they don't trust the police." You know, so primarily his clients are African American. You know, so hats off to Antonio. He came up and says, "Hey, I want to do something about this." You know, so naturally, I, with open arms, said, let's go with it. We sat down, came up with a game plan with some other stakeholders that were willing to get involved, and we created Building Bridges. We started, first one was in January, was our first meeting, by the time we got it off the ground and got our goals and objectives and everything down. And it was overwhelming, the first meeting in January. Had 20 to 25 individuals show up. So a lot of them return, have come in February, have come in March. Some new ones have come on since then. So it's just a great experience to sit there. I mean, we'll break bread, we eat pizza, you know, we give out some door prizes as far as gift cards, you know, but it's just been great just to hear them after the third month we ask for input, you know, through QR code survey, kind of what do you like about it? What can we do better? You know, and just to hear not only in the surveys, but them telling us that they see us in a total different light. than they did prior to starting and coming to this program. So, I can't thank Antonio enough to kick it off. Forest Park's heavily involved with us, Officer Ron Wilson. Springfield Township, and we noticed that a lot of the individuals coming are students of Winton Woods, don't necessarily live in Greenhills, but they live surrounding. So this is something that Antonio, when we started it, we didn't want it to be a Greenhills thing. This is a regional thing. We're going to branch out. City of Cincinnati's been involved since the very beginning. Lieutenant Ed Hill is at every meeting, so he's there. And Springdale's going to be there, and Springfield Township's going to be there for the first time this next meeting, which is coming up actually on the 27th. So we started it, the first 2 months was in his barber shop. We actually met on Sunday. They're always on Sunday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. First 2 months we actually met at the barber shop, T. Smalls there in the plaza. Last month we met at Grace Hills Church. And then this month, and that was kind of nice because we had breakout sessions as far as we teamed up with an officer, some of the teens, multiple officers, some teens, and then we had a couple pastors, local community members here that actually sat with us and discussed things. So that was nice. And then this month, on April 27th, we're meeting at the Quinn Chapel Church on
nice.
Southland Boulevard.
So it's moving around, which will make it easier for kids from different neighborhoods to be able to come too.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you would like the community to think about participating or helping with for this program?
Naturally, donations are community fund, not just for this program, but the donations, we don't use village money to buy cookies with the cop and for the snow cone machine, those types of things, all the sunglasses we give out, stress balls, stuff like that for kids, stickers. That all comes out of our community fund, which is strictly donations from the community. I did apply once again earlier this year for a grant. It's a community engagement grant. It's Mark and Maria Pisa from up in Delaware County that give out 2 $1,000 scholarships during the year. So I did apply for that thinking, well, they're not going to come down to Little Greenhills and want to invest our $1,000, for the program when they're kind of up north. But I applied for it. You don't know unless you try.
Right.
And just 2 weeks ago was informed that we got that grant, that $1,000 grant, and got the check in the mail this week.
That's fantastic.
So that's $1,000 that goes strictly into that community fund that $1,000 will be strictly used for building bridges.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's specifically, the grant is for that, it has to be used for that, and so now all right, we have that to put into community projects.
Right, and they believed in it, I set up, applied for it, put all the goals and objectives and what we look to get out of this, and pictures of current events that we're doing and stuff, and they said it was unanimous.
You have your own police department Facebook page.
We do.
And that is where folks are going to get first notice of any of these community events. A lot of Village News goes there just because you're in the building and you know the stuff. So there is a Greenhills Police Department Facebook page.
Correct.
But the Village of Greenhills also has its own official Facebook page, Village of Greenhills. And the website is greenhillsohio.us. That has a different look. But you can also link to a police department page from there too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, when I first started here 18 months ago, I felt like I was kind of hijacking the village page because I was putting stuff out. So that's when I finally went to Manager Kovac and said, hey, I'm going to do, if you don't mind, my own Facebook page. So with that, I post stuff on that maybe some people in the beginning got accustomed to seeing on the village page, and I'm not posting there anymore. So I encourage, they have over 800, 900 followers on the village page. They are missing stuff with the police department side of the house if they don't follow our Facebook page. So I encourage people to follow both because there's stuff on the village page that you won't see on the police department page. So.
And if you're on Facebook, it's just a good idea to hit that follow because otherwise you have to remember to go look at the page. And I know I'm not the only one that never, I'll be finding out events afterwards because I'll remember to look at the page the day after the event. So I always need to go in and make sure I do follow so it shows up because I'm scrolling anyway. So that means I'll see all these great events instead of just whatever else is on Facebook.
Right. And I want to thank the residents because it has proven beneficial because we will post. It's not uncommon for a dog to be running loose, and we'll get apprehend the dog,
Yeah.
you know, and take it to the kennel down at the county parks, but we'll post a picture out there. And I mean, usually within 10 or 15 minutes, the owner's calling us or someone else is calling us saying that's so-and-so's dog. So,
Good.
yeah, so I appreciate the residents.
I want to thank you so much for coming into the studio.
I appreciate it.
I
Thank you.
think we could sit here and talk about all the fun things that are coming, and I think we'll need to do another one when we get to the summer, because there's a lot of new events coming up this summer, which is great. I'm looking forward to those. But I want to thank you again for coming to the studio and keeping us connected.
Thank you.
Also, I want to thank you for watching, because that means you want to stay connected and plugged into what's happening in the village of Greenhills. And we'll see you next time.